The war for the Pirate King is about to begin, and leading the charge is professional rubberman and meat enthusiast Monkey D. Luffy. Meanwhile, right behind, in front, or even above him, is veteran war stopper and social drinker redhead Shanks. However, lurking in the thick bushes is a man who likes to live dangerously, specifically by keeping all three of his guns alarmingly close to his groin. It is, of course, Blackbeard. Three emperors with the strength and will to govern all pirates. But they were all of them deceived, for another emperor was made. Deep in the land of wherever he lives, one red nose rose above all, into whom Crocodile poured his cruelty, malice, and will to dominate all life. The sum of which resulting in crafting the monstrously popular Buggy. One of these four figures will become the next Pirate King. One king to rule them all. But then something happened that Oda did not intend. A last-minute decision during the initial Sabaody arc to create 9 new characters, each of whom rivaling the protagonistic desires of our Monkey Man. And on the very shores of Laugh Tale, all of these figures will be brought together to fight for the right to call themselves the next #1 pirate guy. And here's the thing, it's not going to be Luffy. Or maybe it will be. That was probably a bit overly dramatic of me. It is a given that Luffy will eventually become the Pirate King, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to become the next Pirate King. Ever since the 19th of July, 1997, chapter 1, page 46, it has been Luffy's undisputed dream to become the Pirate King. That's been the main driving force of the series. The reason why we've spent the last 25 years gathering this menagerie of skeletons, fish, and moss heads. Because each of them are integral to achieving Luffy's dream in some way, shape, or form. However, at the 1060 chapter mark, it was finally confirmed that Luffy is something of a dream polygamist, and that he has been hiding a secret dream, one in which becoming the Pirate King is only the first step towards achieving. So someone else achieving the title before Luffy doesn't necessarily take anything away from him. If anything, it would give Luffy a much clearer goal, a simple, singular entity to punch fight his way to glory. So think of it this way. We could have a situation similar to that of Hamlet and Claudius, or their better known version, Simba and Scar. Simba was born to be king, however Scar, he was a bit of a prick. He then committed caticide against Mufasa and commandeered the role of king until Simba was ready to take it back. It's a very common story, ever so common. In fact, you let me know in the comments if your uncle has ever usurped your father's throne. Back to fictional alliance, picture Simba fighting Scar on Pride Rock, except instead of big kitties, it's a monkey repeatedly punching a hippo. Because I actually think that the next most likely Pirate King is Blackbeard. Also, this video is sponsored by The Ants Underground Kingdom, the world's first ant-based simulation strategy mobile game available on the Amazon App Store, where you can save up to 25% on apps, games, and in-app items using Amazon coins. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to ascend and become some sort of all-powerful ant-man? Because I do, pretty much on a daily basis. Well, in this game, you get control of your own anthill to serve as your base for exploration and building. Plus, it features a funky gacha system for hatching hundreds of special ants, and you can even learn their real habits in-game. They're all simply waiting for you to discover, cultivate, and form the ultimate ant army. Also, this game's graphics are smoother than Alvida on, well, anything because she's like really smooth, as is this game, featuring stupidly high quality graphics and an art style that I would describe as both elegant, realistic, and cute. I said both, but then I said 3 things. Well, I'm not taking it back. This game has over 35 million downloads, and you can +1 by clicking the link in the description, but in addition, they've also prepared some wonderful gifts for everyone if you enter the following code in game. Gifts are nice, so do that thing, but for now it's back to you. Me? Because I actually think that the next most likely Pirate King is Blackbeard, who is canonically depicted as a hippo through this phenomenal One Piece figure line. Now, statistically speaking, Blackbeard is a 40-year-old Armada commander who stands at a towering 344 centimeters with a bounty of lots and a chest hairier than an exposed lemon after having been rolled across a barbershop floor. The dude has everything he needs to get that job done. But there's a bit of a common misconception that Blackbeard has never said that his goal is to become the Pirate King. Despite the fact that Blackbeard has done the thing that people says he hasn't, and did state that he was going to become the Pirate King. That doesn't mean it's his ultimate ambition though. Much like Luffy, being the reigning monarch of the Pirate Kingdom may just be another phase in Blackbeard's master plan to turn the world into a big cherry pie and then eat it. And whilst Blackbeard taking the crown might seem a bit subversive to most, I actually think that this would be the most straightforward narrative maneuver that Oda could possibly pull. Because it plays into the classic "it's always darkest before dawn" trope of storytelling. storytelling, which is intriguingly mirrored by the idea that Blackbeard represents literal darkness and Luffy represents more metaphorical and perhaps even literal dawn. I said even twice. That's how much dawn he represents. To achieve maximum despair and underdoggedness, it would be great for Luffy to be smacked right in the dream balls. Not only did Blackbeard engineer a series of events that killed Luffy's brother, but now Blackbeard has even gone so far as to kill Luffy's dream. But because it's One Piece, nothing actually dies. The dream is resurrected and our hippo friend is gonna take a whopping L from this raging D. It's your very classic hero's journey stuff. Luffy is going to be tested like never before, and having to reconcile with his dream being in the troublesome hands of someone else is that make or break moment when Luffy rises from the ashes. That is of course assuming that Luffy and Blackbeard are the only two contenders in this war, which would be a very poor assumption to make. Our third potential scallywag supreme, and right now probably the front runner in the eyes of the world, is Shanks. Granted, currently he is the only emperor who has never said, "I will be the Pirate King, dude," but he has well and truly declared his intent to compete in the race for the One Piece. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that the race is even slightly to horrendously rigged in his favor. Shanks started at the finish line. He almost certainly already knows where Laugh-Tale is. He didn't need to worry about finding all sorts of obscure cubes, saving samurai, or visiting Grandma's cake house, which honestly good for him because that would have been the most awkward version of Little Red Riding Hood. Shanks would have gotten to the house and discovered that instead of the wolf eating Grandma had a bit of a hunger tantrum and ate a wolf. Doesn't matter. Shanks got to skip that arc in his life, and the only reason why he isn't currently the Pirate King is because it's not time yet. Whatever the One Piece is, it's in need of a bit of a temporal safe space because it's very time sensitive. As such, after Kaido's defeat on Wano, Shanks checked the clock and he said, "Goodness me, look at the time," and promptly set sail to do the thing after a quick stop home to deal with a rather frustrating rooster. One of the things I love about Shanks actively competing for the One Piece is that if he was to become the next Pirate King, then it's very in keeping with the general themes of One Piece. Because then the line of succession would be first Roger, then Red Roger, and finally Monkey Roger. Shanks does have quite a bit of baggage to deal with though. In fact, he has a unique relationship with each and every one of his fellow emperors. But here is a crazy fact about Shanks that you probably didn't know. He's only appeared on 5 volume covers in the entire history of One Piece, which happens to be the exact same amount of volume covers that Blackbeard has appeared on. And they also just so happen to be the exact same volumes. Those being volume 25, 45, 59, 95, and 96. Shanks and Blackbeard are like a One Piece power couple. The not necessarily sexual tension is palpable. Blackbeard is always on Shanks's mind, as well as always on his face due to the whole scar situation, but this is no one-sided infatuation, because Blackbeard, like the true player he is, has his own plans to take on Shanks eventually. And a colossal part of this war is going to center on the conflict between them. And I'm afraid the only way this fight ends well is if Shanks is revealed to be the true protagonist of One Piece, and we've been following a side story this entire time. Otherwise, he's dead. Mentors die. That's just what they do. In fact, if you currently mentor someone, then I would watch out, because you may end up being someone else's character development. Although Shanks did once say to Roger regarding Laugh-Tale, "If we're gonna go there, we'll take our own ship someday." The we in this situation, as well as the one responsible for weeing himself in many future situations, being of course Buggy the Clown. I want to ask this right now. Is there any One Piece fan out there in the somewhere who still does not believe that Buggy has a fantastic chance of becoming the Pirate King? I will say that when I was originally planning this video, Buggy's role was going to be replaced by Crocodile, because he's the one with the cunning, the drive, and profound desire to become the Pirate King. But then I thought to myself, nah, all of the work that Crocodile puts into achieving his dream is going to be directly funneled into the legacy of Buggy. Buggy is like a clout tampon. He will absorb everything. And when it comes down to it, Buggy ending up at the pinnacle of the pirate universe due to a series of wacky accidents would be by far the most hilarious outcome the series could deliver. If that did happen, I can picture myself reacting the same way that Roger did when he found Laugh-Tale. He laughed, which is a very appropriate reaction because making people laugh is literally the only job of the clown. But let's just stop a bit and take this a bit more seriously, because lol funny joke isn't the only reason why Buggy could end up winning this war. In the same way that Luffy has Zoro and Sanji, Buggy has his own unwilling wings in Crocodile and Mihawk. One of the smartest as well as one of the most single powerful beings in the entire One Piece world. But I would also argue that Buggy has a crew far more loyal than any other emperor. The Grand Fleet, yeah, they're pretty great. I'm sure the Red Hair Pirates also have the utmost respect for Shanks. And Blackbeard's crew, well, whatever they've got going seems to work for them. But nobody commands sheer adoration like Buggy the Clown. In fact, it's so powerful that it's actively out of his control. This crew will make Buggy Buggy the Pirate King whether he likes it or not. He just so happened to does want it, however, as during the Paramount War saga, Buggy predicted his own future by stating that he would become an emperor and after that go on to become the Pirate King. And as for where he sits in this war, it's a very intriguing place. Given both he and Mihawk's relationship with Shanks, I feel like they would be one of the more unlikely clashes. However, just as Shanks has a hot date with Blackbeard, our Cross Guild could be gearing up to cross paths with the Straw Hats. Crocodile already has an established poor rapport with them, plus Zoro, he is going to chop fight Mihawk at some point, but the most exciting possibility is watching the sky split when the genius Jester meets God Usopp. Someone pointed this out to me the other day, but Buggy and Usopp have never met. And after realizing that, it's become one of the things that I want most in this world. Because the two of them will definitely have heard of each other. The 500 million berry god Usopp, who was instrumental in bringing down Doflamingo, comes face to face with Emperor Buggy in a battle of bluffing. Both of them would be terrified of each other, but also doing what they do best and lying their way through it. That aside, I do think that Buggy has a fantastic chance of becoming the Pirate King at some stage in the series. However, I don't know if he will be the next king or even a king before Luffy. He seems more like post-king material. Buggy has a bit of a tendency to lap up those sloppy seconds, and he only gains a title once it's lost the vast majority of its previous meaning. So if he is to become king, it's probably only going to be once that title is rendered irrelevant. To our left field contenders, the ones who aren't emperors, that's you, kid. They have big words and big dreams, but no single one of them is capable of forming a faction big enough to compete at this late stage. Having just made fun of him, honestly, the closest would be Kid. With a 3 billion berry bounty, he could raise an arm or two, which is more than the amount of actual arms he can raise. But the only reason why I throw Junkyard Shanks into the ring is because he does have the Luffy-esque drive, grit, and one-track mindedness to continue pursuing this goal. I feel like his best chance would be to somehow unite what's left of the worst generation into a singular globby group. However, there's not a lot of them left. Luffy, Zoro, and Blackbeard already spoken for. Hawkins might be dead. Drake, well, he is a marine. Scratchman Apu is a traitorous bunglenut, and it's very difficult to see a world where Law decides to work with, let alone work for, Kid, which leaves us with Capone, Arouge, and Bonnie. The former two, I suppose I could see being reasonable Kid allies. But regardless of how ill-advised it may be, Kid is going to make a play here, which means that we will have at least 5 factions battling it out for Laugh Tale, and there's even the potential that multiple captains will find the One Piece at the same time. What would that mean? Are we crowning multiple kings and then starting some sort of inter-king conflict? Sort of like a pirate civil war? I'm afraid the only person who knows the answer to that is one very, very large bird. But I do know the answer as to what you should watch next, because it's this, and I look forward to seeing you there.